For the Magtheridon fight, you're going to begin in the center of the room on Magtheridon's left toenail. You'll have tanks positioned around the room right behind each of the 5 channelers. They'll begin by running in and aggroing the channelers, at which point in time you begin to DPS them, starting with the one nearest the door. You want to use your highest DPS rotation here, so a Scorch, and then Fireballs until Fire Blast becomes available, and then Fire Blast them, because you want them to go down as quickly as possible, because you want them all dead before Magtheridon releases after 3 minutes. They will cast a spell called Dark Mending, which you must counterspell if it shows up. He will start casting it around 50%. It will heal him and slow down the kill too much if he's allowed to get it off. Each one that you kill makes the others stronger, but that really shouldn't affect you too much. As you can see, they will summon Infernals who will run around. You should have a tank to banish or otherwise take care of them. They despawn once the summoners go down. The summoners are each tanked individually. Usually the first one that goes down is tanked by the main tank, so they can move into position to grab Magtheridon once all the summoners go down. The other 4 tanks stay there to be the cube clickers on those positions, and the first position is taken over by a hunter who can continue to DPS on Magtheridon even while clicking the cubes. Once the summoners go down, and as you can see, you can start running to the next summoner a few percent before the last one dies if you are a mage and therefore ranged. But you want to get them down as quickly as possible, so you have a few seconds to regen mana before Magtheridon himself breaks free. Once they all go down, you see Magtheridon is now free. The main tank will pick him up. And then just position yourself. It becomes a fairly straightforward DPS fight at this point in time. So you'll want to cast your opening volley of 3 to 5 Scorches, however many it takes to get the full 5 Scorch debuffs on him, then a Fire Blast, add that one more charge to the Dark Moon card, and then your usual DPS rotation. If you have sufficient mana for it, I would suggest 3 Fireballs to 1 Fire Blast. That is your highest DPS rotation, although it does use more mana. Therefore, I highly recommend having both a Blessing of Wisdom if you can, and a Shadow Priest in your party for Vampiric Embrace. As you can see, he will occasionally throw you around the room. As long as you don't land in one of those cave-in areas, you should be fine. If you do land in one of them, get out of it quickly, otherwise it will kill you. Keep in mind you can Fire Blast even while you're being thrown around. He will begin to channel a Blast Nova spell that will kill everyone if he casts it. It's stopped by the 5 clickers clicking on their cubes and holding it. They don't need to hold it, just once all 5 of them have clicked it, that will stop the cast, but DPS is increased on him while they are holding it. So while they will take damage while they do it, the longer they can hold it, the better. When you see the blast wave about to happen, you know that those cubes are going to be clicked, so that's when you want to unload your most DPS, because you'll get that additional bonus from the cubes. So try and use any trinkets you have up, Icy Veins, Combustion, any of those things used for that moment. And again, you see me being thrown around, but you can still cast Fire Blast even then, so that not all of that throw around time is being wasted. You see he's being clicked on the cubes, he turns purple, his damage goes up. Right there as you see it. You can see I'm using Quartz for this fight. As a Fire Mage, it's useful because it allows you to start casting the next spell even before you reach the end of the bar. That red bit at the end represents your latency, so you can begin casting as soon as you hit there, which allows you to truly chain cast. It's the equivalent of adding several dozen points worth of haste to your haste rating from that one add-on, Quartz. When he reaches 30%, he will cause a cave-in. We'll deal with that then, but in the meantime you don't need to panic, because the only thing that will really affect you, as you can see, is being thrown around. You probably won't even need any heals, as long as you stay out of the cave-in areas, which will kill you instantly. Again, you see them being channeled. Cube clickers only have a couple of seconds to click on the cube before he'll cast the Blast Nova and wipe everyone. In terms of consumables, this is not a horribly mana-intensive fight because it's very straightforward. Therefore, you can use damage oil and damage food along with a flask of pure death or supreme power. And as, of course, you should always be using your mana pots and mana gems at every possible cooldown, because you want to have as much mana regen as possible. Again, every time you use a health pot or a health stone, you are slowing down your mana regen, which means that you are slowing down your potential DPS output. If you do get hurt, bandages are what you need to do. As you see, he's approaching 30%, at which point in time he will cause the roof to cave in. So right before 30%, you don't want that happening at the same time as a blast wave. We slow down DPS, as you see here. We're just holding DPS, not hurting him at all. I'm just casting the occasional Scorch to keep the Scorch debuff on him, because you want him to hit 30% right after a blast wave to prevent the roof cave-in from happening at the same time as the blast wave that he does. So we're just standing around, having a nice time. Healers should make sure everyone's topped off for the roof cave-in. He's preparing to cast a blast wave, so just a few more seconds now. Another Scorch to keep the debuff on him. He starts to cast the blast wave. The cubes are channeled. The spell is interrupted, and now we can begin to burn him down as quickly as possible, using the extra bonus from the cubes. And the room shakes, and he starts to cave in the roof. Now, you can ice block through it, but you want to wait just a few seconds before you do that, because it's a 10-second cast, and the damage only occurs at the very end of the cast. So you want to ice block at the very end, otherwise you will take damage. And after that, you just burn him down as quickly as possible. Again, once you hit 20%, your damage goes up because of the Molten Fury talent, so if you have any ability to use a Destruction Potion, or a Fire Cap, Flame Cap that is, during that last 20%, that is often very useful, even more useful than using that for mana regen, because of the 20% increase. And again, if you can time that to happen at the same time that they are channeling the cubes, you get a huge increase to damage there. Altogether, because of the cubes, because it is not a mana-intensive fight, and therefore you can use things like destruction pots, as long as you are using gems and pots at every possible cooldown, it's possible to do a fair amount of damage in this fight. Again, it's not a movement-heavy fight except for the movement when he throws you around. And that is the Magtheridon fight.